Hello, my name is Andrew Parsons, and despite what my t-shirt says, I do not work for NASA. I do, however, work in the Midlands in the mechanical and industrial engineering sector. I also am a candidate at the University of Winchester for a doctoral position as a business administrator. That, however, is not my topic. The topic I want to talk to you today about is the disconnect between the OEMs and the, for want of a better word, the man in the shed. It seems to me that we've got some very, very rich people in this world, and we've got some very poor people, excellent poor people. Now, because there's so many tiers in between these OEMs until it gets down to the little bloke in the shed, what happens is the bloke in the shed's making the work for £35 an hour, and in that he's covering his overheads. So he's covering his materials, he's covering his business rates, he's covering his unit, he's covering his vans, his cranes, his insurance, if I haven't already said it, his staff, and he's having to have this on credit and bankroll the higher echelons of business. Now, every time this work gets passed up and up and up, it gets to Land Rover, for instance, who are the biggest OEM in the Midlands, and the value of that is just astronomical. So what started off as £35 an hour, after it changed hands so many times, everyone's trying to show 40% profit, you end up with a sky-high figure, whilst the bloke at the bottom really is just surviving, and I just do not think that's fair. I'll give you a for instance. I work for a big tier 1 company that supplied parts for Land Rover, and they gave me a jobs quote. I went to a very small machine shop, got the drawings in hand, we had a look at it thoroughly. The job come in at £55,000. I was very friendly with the engineer who was kind enough to give me the opportunity to go out on the work. He's looked at it and gone, "How they can't do this? This is £100,000." I doubled it. It was £100,000. He said, "They can't do this." I said, "Look, here's the drawings. They've got the machines. They can do this." He says, "They can't, honestly." And the other quotes they had was £200,000, but they could have done it. And in the end, I didn't get the job because of that, because it seemed too cheap. So, where's that money gone, I hear you ask? Well, it's been passed over to Land Rover, which has then been passed into the cars, which has then been passed to you. So you've consumed all of those costs and the VAT on those cars. I don't know about you. I drive an Insignia with a bent bumper. I can't afford a £200,000 Land Rover. So what I'm trying to get at is there's such a huge disconnect between the OEMs and the guy in the shed. I'm wondering if we can sort of bypass the first, second and third tier practitioners in order to help the smaller guy in the shed. There's nothing wrong with the work. If there's a drawing attached to it, it's right or wrong. So we can make sure that the quality control's there, we can make sure that it's correct. So we could literally go from one to the other and save a fortune. The difficulty they have is when you're a smaller operation, you haven't got the manpower to pitch your work to the likes of OEMs, have you? And then the OEM's procurement department are pitched to by very smartly eloquent sales practitioners as well. So they believe what they are told, ultimately. Now, I'm not going to dispute the fact that the tier 1s, 2s, 3s hold a tremendous amount of power, huge workforces within the remit of engineering. But is it not possible to utilise the artisans, these people that are, extremely skilled and crafted at what they do, in order to service the OEMs more directly? I don't know the answer. The only answer I can think of is that you have a savvy, understood engineer that's the go-between between the OEM and the smaller operations. That's the only thing I can think of. But by all means, answers on a postcard. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. I personally have tried to do this. The difficulty I face is that when you're dealing with a small OEM and you're just a guy off the street, but you've got, a huge OEM the other side and you're just dealing with a guy off the street, they don't take you so seriously, which means your work can get pushed back. So there needs to be a certain amount of clarity there, contractual clarity, in fact, to make sure that they understand the value in what they're doing. And by doing so, I'm hoping that they can be pushed up higher in the ranks. Another company I work for sold out maybe last year for 200 million. This company was one of 4 strands. So one of the strands was civils, one of the strands was like tarmac, one of the strands was, I don't know, bionics, robots, and then the other strand was components for breakdown work for these automated plants such as Amazon. Now these were 4 strands, and all of these 4 strands were held by just one family in France. Now to me that doesn't seem like a fair distribution of power. I'm all for making money, who isn't? That's why we're here. But could it not be more evenly distributed? There's probably a bazillion things wrong with what I've said. There's probably a bazillion questions you need to ask me, or we could beat out. But for now, that's my predicament, and answers on a postcard. Don't click the like button. You can contact me, but I'd rather you didn't. Thank you ever so much. Once again, I'm Andrew Parsons, and thanks. Bye.